Evening everybody, Silverbolt here, not back for Transform Review. I'm doing this kind of like a little mini video, but more of a response to Kalal's masterclass on Rodimus and HotRod. And I don't want to step on Dave's toes here, but I wanted to give my own take on HotRod and his reincarnation into Rodimus. I know I've already done a video on HotRod and Rodimus, but I don't, if I recall correctly, I didn't really touch an awful lot upon Rodimus. I mostly stuck to HotRod. But one of the things about HotRod is that HotRod, in the Transformers storyline and by the fans, was really given the short end of the stick when he became Rodimus. Because one of the things you've got to remember with HotRod, this is going to sound so bad just like I'm discussing real life here, but one of the things you've got to take into account with HotRod is that he was this young, brash, arrogant, cocksure teenager. He was basically your average teenager who thought he could kick anybody's ass, who pretty much could kick anybody's ass. So there's one thing when I was listening to Dave's video, the fact that I can actually sit there and listen to a 48 minute video really does show you how much respect I've got for Dave. I really should stop plugging him in these videos. The guy's going to get his head's not going to fit through a door at this rate. But there's something, when I was listening to it, something struck out in my head. And it's just from this. It's from Prince Caspian by C.S. Lewis, which is, of course, the Chronicles of Narnia. And it's a quote from this that I really think does sum up Rodimus himself. And I'll just read this out to you now. Welcome, Prince, said Aslan. Do you feel yourself sufficient to take up the kingship of Narnia? I don't think I do, sir, said Caspian. I'm only a kid. Good, said Aslan. If you had felt yourself sufficient, it would have been a proof that you were not. Therefore, under us and under the High King, you shall be King of Narnia, Lord of Cair Paravel, and Emperor of the Lone Islands. You and your heirs while your race lasts, and your coronation, and then it goes off to discussing Reaper Chief. Nice box set, by the way. Philly bought it for me. Really chuffed with that. Haven't even read these books yet. Mainly because I've read them as a child, but never mind. But anyway, that quote, I really do think sums Rodimus up really well, in that he wasn't a born leader. And of course, going with the storylines that we know now, we know that Prime wasn't a born leader either. Prime was a born leader. He just didn't realise it. He had to have leadership thrust upon him to make him realise his true qualities. Ultra Magnus, again, was a born leader. He just didn't believe it in himself. HotRod, on the other hand, was not. He was young and he was charismatic, but he wasn't a leader. And then he finds himself not only leading a group like Silverbolt leads the aerial bots, or Scattershot leads the Technobots. He finds himself leading all the Autobots, every single one of them. And he's not really trying to be Prime, but he's trying to fill Prime's shoes. And I think that's where Rodimus falls down an awful lot. Instead of forging his own destiny, he's trying to tap into one that's already been written. Optimus Prime was the greatest leader of the Autobots that they ever had. There will never be a leader who will have the iconic status of Optimus Prime. Rodimus tried to fill those shoes instead of putting on his own pair of shoes and forging his own destiny. And that was where he slipped up an awful lot of the time. And if Optimus, one of the most famous inputs that you can have where Rodimus Prime and Optimus Prime come together is in the parody that's on YouTube of the Rude Awakening of Optimus Prime. And it's very, very funny, but it is extremely unfair to Rodimus, who had to fill these humongous shoes when he really wasn't ready to do it. And that's where Rodimus did tend to fall down, as I said. He tried too hard. I think you're trying to steal my show here, dog. I really do. He tried too hard to be Optimus, instead of trying to be Rodimus. And it's a lesson he never learns. Given time, he would have. And I do believe that if Optimus hadn't come back, Rodimus would have done an awful lot of good. Okay, yes, he will never be an Optimus Prime, but then George Bush will never be General Washington, or Tony Blair will never be Lord Wellington. Quite thankful for that, actually. So that's where you've got that. It's one of those things that he got the short end of the stick, and I'm going to leave it at that for now. And if you stop Dave's video to watch me rambling, go back to it, because it's very good.